everybody. Welcome to the Provocative Purpose with your hosts, Denika Carothers and Eugene Frazier. We are bringing to you live and direct divine feminine and divine masculine energy today. Hey, Eugene, how are you?
Hi, Denika. How are you? Life is good. I'm excited to spend this time with you because you are absolutely incredible.
Oh, you're so special. Thank you. I am very excited about this venture that we are undertaking together. I'm very excited about this provocative purpose because, as you know, both of us are all about purpose and both of us are very provoking. We like to provoke people to purpose. And when I say provoking, just so you all don't get an attitude listening, because whenever we are very comfortable with something, whenever we are ingrained in false belief systems that we feel very comfortable in, a lot of times we find that our path is not going as we desire it to be, and we can't quite put a finger on what's wrong. And when you're provoked to think differently, when you're provoked to analyze your perspective, you give yourself an opportunity to explore, discover, and embrace yourself. What you got to say, Eugene?
Wow, that's incredible energy. How does one top that? I would say that for me, I'm always looking, as you stated, Denika, to engage in purposeful outcomes. And people I'm around, I don't think about it. I automatically push them and encourage them in a different way to be their authentic self. So as I show up on a day-to-day basis, I am striving to be my authentic self and being honest with Eugene Frazier because no one can push me past my roadblocks that I put in front of myself.
Absolutely. Oh, you just hit the nail on the head. Being honest with Eugene Frazier. Well, speaking of Eugene Frazier, I think it's only fair to our audience, seeing this is the first time that we are presenting ourselves in this way, that we introduce ourselves and we tell our audience more about who we are. And so I'm going to let you go first.
Okay, so Eugene Frazier, founder and developer of E of Choice and Associate Consulting Business. And I also have a strong focus called My Coach Eugene, which I'm launching in the next 30 days in Facebook. On the other side, I am a executive coach. I am a top 100 coach under Marshall Goldsmith. I'm a LinkedIn advisor. I'm on the Forbes Coaching Council, where I spend lots of time giving what I consider to be my pearls and wisdom of my background and expertise. And I'm located on the outskirts of Houston in Texas. But have opportunity, will travel once we get past all the dynamics we're dealing with. Other than that, I am virtually alive and constantly in the face of others around critical issues.
I love it. Well, and like Eugene Frazier, I am a coach, a whole coach, and nothing but a coach. And you will identify that in listening to both Eugene and I. We are both coaches at the heart of who we are. And so I am Denika Carothers. I am the founder of Live with Purpose Coaching. I am also the creator of Reclaim Your Power, Power, Power to the Divine Feminine. Yes, I am very passionate about really helping persons to come on the other side of rejection and abandonment and grief. It is a big part of my story. Actually, grief was a catalyst that really propelled me into aligning myself completely with my purpose. I have a really powerful intuitive gift that I have just recently opened up to, and I'm so grateful that I'm giving myself full permission to flow completely and authentically in that gift. Because, Eugene, one of the things that I found since opening myself up completely to that gifting and to my purpose is how many divine feminine and divine masculine there are out there who are really seeking to discover themselves. They understand that they have this gift. They understand that they have this power within them, but conditioning, whether it be through experiences or cultures or just their upbringing, has really caused them to limit the power of who they are. And so today, I'm so excited to open up this conversation, open up this new way of talking with speaking about the divine feminine and the divine masculine. So one of the things that has happened since Eugene and I have connected, number one, we have identified that this is a divine connection.
Absolutely.
No questions about it, no doubts about it. And it's, I was thinking this morning about how our paths crossed, thinking about your daughter, Kanisha, who was a client of mine. I worked with Kanisha for a couple of years, and through my knowing Kanisha, you and I got to meet. But one of the things that Kanisha said when she first connected to me is that she Googled me. And she said that she was drawn to me. She said, those are the exact words. She said she just felt so drawn to me that she had to work with me. And look at this now, 2 years later, you and I are connecting, doing the provocative purpose. I just love how the divine flows and operates. What you think about that?
First of all, it's very distinct that Denika talked a little bit about the divine feminine and then coupling that with the divine masculine. It's taken me a lifetime to truly embrace the special gifts that I have. And I don't know whether any of you may know this terminology or understand it, but I am from A to Z, a empath. A empathic person who's able to feel things, see things, those things that are untalked about, those things that are people are operating out of and behaving out of, impacts me in a variety of ways. And as I've connected to Denika, what's really clear to me, we aligned ourselves on the basis of universal principles. We were guided to each other, and we've become a combination of support entities for each other, as well as helping each other to elevate the business components that we are driving with that distinct side of being an empath and embracing the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And I want to say to all of the men who are listening to this, the first step to embracing your divine feminine is to, first of all, remove the fear of experiencing feelings, thoughts, and concerns that you typically don't feel that you're equipped to deal with. Because when you embrace that side of you, it helps you to see things far clearer than you ever saw in your life. And one of the reasons why I'm able to do it so comfortably, I was essentially born into a family where my father wasn't around. I was surrounded by very strong Black women. And these women were very prevalent in my life. And matter of fact, they are the onset of who I am today and who I'm evolving to become is all because of them. So embrace the feminine side. Don't linger in the masculine side, because that puts you like a bull in a china shop where you're not seeing everything around you. Embrace the wholeness of what this brings.
I just love how you said that, because I think that is a universal message that really needs to be spoken loud and clear right now. Embracing the feeling, because even as you were, talking to the masculine and encouraging them to embrace their feminine, their feeling aspect, one of the things that I would like to do is talk to the feminine who are operating more in the masculine, because that masculine aspect, the masculine energy is really about protection, right? It's about giving, it's about protecting, it's about providing. And one of the things that has happened in the world is that women have been kind of forced into that place of being, protector and provider and nurturer. And so a lot of women now, rather than flowing more in their divine feminine, are flowing in wounded masculine, because the energy that they're operating in from the masculine aspect has come in from hurt. And it's very interesting that you said, I was raised by strong Black women. As a strong Black woman, usually that is the terminology that you hear that is associated with Black women. Black women are strong, right? And in so many aspects, we have to be. And one of the things that has happened, especially as it pertains to, single motherhood that's on the rise, is that women have felt this need to step more into their masculine. One of the things that I often coach my parents about, my feminine mothers, single mothers, when they say, well, I'm the mother and the father. I'm like, no, baby, you are not the father. You are the mother. Be the best damn good mommy that you can be, but you cannot replace that. You cannot replace that father. You cannot replace that masculine energy. And even though, everything that is operates in feminine and masculine energy, everything in creation has a feminine and a masculine aspect. We have to learn how to bring those energies into not balance, but into harmony with each other, that they are flowing as they need to flow to effect purpose, to effect, us being able to create the things that we are here to create. And I feel the divine feminine and the divine masculine energies. I'm not speaking specifically about the male gender and the female gender here, but understanding the energies and what those energies represent, I think is very key for especially this time that we're living in right now.
Denika, as you were talking, what was very clear to me is that in order for people to understand this notion of divine feminine and divine masculine, it's really about unveiling the things that we go through life, attempting to put a coat of armor around, build a wall around, and to keep at bay. And for the most part, we often think that we can separate life from the personal and the professional, and essentially you can't. And I just want to say to everyone that it's about embracing both sides and being very clear about I am who I am at work because of who I am at home. And if I leave a portion of me at home, then I'm operating on a glass that's half empty, not half full, looking at the totality of how you can benefit and how you can benefit others. The other thing too is that when you get so trapped into just your masculine and just your feminine, what you're doing is you're carving out a large portion of divine intervention and divine colliding with others that can really benefit you. So don't put yourself in your own way.
Oh, so good. The masculine energy is an energy of action, right? And the feminine energy, now again, remember I said we all have masculine and feminine energy. So the masculine energy is the energy of action. The feminine energy is the energy of beingness, loving and caring, but also powerful. And when you think about what the feminine represents in this world experience, so through the feminine comes all being, all life, all creation, all comes through the womb of the feminine. I say the one thing that we all have in common in the world is that we all came through the womb of a woman. And understanding what that energy represents is very important for the feminine, but also for the masculine. And, I think that the time that we're living in is just so significant. And it's so important that we really tap into the energies that I say spirit or the universe is presenting for us to pay attention. Even with the whole racial divide situation that's happening right now, one of the biggest takeaways for me with the whole George Floyd experience was the fact that he called out for his mama. He called out for the divine feminine, because ironically his mom, she's passed on, but we're all spiritual beings having a human experience. And I think it's so important for us to tap into the divine aspect of who we are, masculine and feminine, in this time, because until those two energies learn how to come and truly cohabitate, coexist, co-create with each other, we're going to continue to see what we experience as division.
I would concur. And man, you absolutely nailed it. And I want to reflect for a moment on a couple of things that you said. One, in reference to the racial inequality and lack of harmony among people. And when you separate the divine feminine and the divine masculine, we're being just as individually divisive as other people are being divisive right now in our society and separating us according to what ethnic and origin and background that you come from. It's not about that. We all bleed the same. We all interact the same. And as Denika talked about, we came through the womb. And if you didn't come through there, you still came from the female's body where they do a C-section. A little different technique, but all one and the same. So I would encourage us to, how can we begin to focus on who we are as individuals, really understand the personal, understand the professional, and that's going to be you determining what you value right now. And anything you value, you will give it attention. And the things that you give attention in your head, in your behavior, those things manifest themselves. But if you are in the space of worry, you're in the space of fear and living and operating in that, step aside, remove that, because it's hindering you from your breakthrough.
Absolutely. You know, even if you have a C-section, Eugene, I'm gonna school you a little bit because I know
Okay.
baby never came.
I'm not a woman.
I know you never had a baby in your womb part, but even if you have a C-section, even if the baby is delivered through C-section, that baby resided in the womb. So it's still coming through the womb. It's just coming, coming out in a different way. And, when you talk about the feminine energy is about trust. It's about faith. It's about observing. It's about finding your path from the inside out. The feminine energy is all about inner reflection. The masculine energy is about external projection. Okay. Now, again, I'm not talking about man and woman. I'm talking about feminine and masculine energy, which we all are. And when we don't bring those energies into harmony, or, a lot of people like to say balance, but into harmony with each other, that they can play beautiful melody and have a beautiful rhythm and a beautiful dance together. That is one of the reasons why so many relationships are disconnected from functioning or dysfunctional, because we're not flowing in the true essence of what our created aspect is all about. There's too much trying to supersede. That's the problem with all the racial tension. You're thinking that one race or one gender or one class of people is better than another one. It's not. And like you said, we all bleed the same. But I would take it even a step further. Yes, we all bleed the same color. But if you split a man and a woman open, if you split a black person and a white person open, if you split a Christian and a Muslim open, and you just laid it all out, every aspect of who they are inside looks the exact same. If you take away the color, if you take away the belief system, if you take away the gender, if you take away the affiliation, we are all the same. And how now do we come together, understanding, respecting, and honoring that, to show up in this life existence in the power, in the purpose, in the limitless, in the amazing?
Wow. You touch my spirit in a variety of different ways. I first want to take a moment and describe what Denika talked about, the divine feminine, and kind of how that affects me and how it alters my behavior. And then the second part that I want to bring to the forefront and just say it now. One of the key things that I get very concerned about, that you would completely, as a society, have notions of someone being significantly less and no more than a dog, if you will, and because of the pigment of their skin and the point of origin from which they came. And it's important that people understand that not all individuals that we want to put into a categorical area of African American or African Americans. There are Black Americans and there are African Americans, and there are other individuals who come from regions and continents of the world that operate in the same space. And what we're experiencing right now in the US is very clear to me A lot of it is based in ignorance, because we are afraid to show vulnerability, to say we don't know. So we make assumptions. And making assumptions is the worst thing we could do for a economic and sociological crisis that we're dealing with right now as it relates to racial inequities and lack of harmony among people in general. So I just had to get that off my chest. The other aspect is, as a male and a person who embraces his divine feminine side, I want to give you a few examples of how it really affects me. I have a level of sensitivity to environments and people that is above and beyond. I can walk into a meeting of a number of people that are there. I can tell you down to who's in charge, who's striving to be in charge, who's in conflict with each other based on where they sit, power at table versus not, the ones who are removed, etc., because I can sense it, I can feel it. And it's a feeling tone, and having a clinical background helped me to embrace my feelings, because my objective is to teach others how to embrace their feelings, to work through them and get past them. Now, so that's one thing. The other one is I've been characterized as a sensitive male. And for those of you out there, if you have a significant other, a friend, a girlfriend, a wife, or whoever they may be, if you are a little bit on the sensitive side, embrace it, because no one else can live the reality of your life. Only you can. And so I embrace that, and I beg no one pardon or apologize for embracing that, because it's the true essence of me that helped me to be effective in everything that I do.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the pressures that a lot of men feel, because the world doesn't give them permission to flow in that feeling aspect of who they are, right? But it's important that you give yourself permission to do that, which I know, Eugene, you do. And because you do, you make no apologies for it, right? And it's very important that we flow in the truth, the authenticity of who we are. We live in a world right now where everybody's trying to dumb themselves down. They're trying to numb themselves out. They don't want to feel. The feeling aspect of who you are is very important. That is the divine feminine aspect of who you are, that feeling sense, that feeling from the inside, right? You cannot be authentic to truth of you if you're not willing to embrace that. So you spoke earlier about, being an empath, of which, we both are. And it's one of the things that makes me so powerful and effective in my role as a soul coach, because I tell my clients, I am coaching you in your life from the place of your soul, because that's where everything is translated. That's where everything is stored. All memories, all feelings, all experiences, all emotions are stored in the soul place. And people don't understand the subconscious and the soul are one and the same. And so helping people to understand that is a really big passion for me, because I feel like when you understand who you are at every level, because we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and it's important that we understand who we are at every level, that you can truly show up in power, you can show up in purpose, you can be the being that you were created to be. Too many people are too concerned and focused on doing. We're human beings, not human doings. We need to be more of who we are, rather than trying to manage and navigate what everybody else is doing. We have to bring it to self. We have to bring it to center. And, when you talk about, childhood and how you were raised, so I'm happy that you talked about the differentiation of Blacks, because I am not an African American. I am not a Black American. I am a biracial Caribbean woman. I'm from the Bahamas. You could call me a Bahama mama. That's cool. I'll take that as well, right? But when I was growing up as a biracial, I was raised by two parents who were not just of different races, but also different cultures, different understanding. So my father was Bahamian born and raised in the Bahamas. My mother was Canadian. She was born and raised in Toronto, Canada, and with her adventurous self, ventured out to the Bahamas at the age of 20 or 21, but one of the things that was very evident to me as a child is the suppressive masculine energy, because my father was this strong individual. My mother was a strong individual too, but what I saw, what I was witness to growing up, is how my father tried to suppress the amazing that my mother was. He discounted her as a mother because they came from different cultures. She didn't believe in corporal punishment. That wasn't her thing where she came from. And he tried to diminish her parenting abilities and skills because of that. And I thought she was amazing because, I mean, who really wants to be beaten and knocked upside the head as a child? Right. So, that was a struggle for me. It was a struggle for me, growing up. It also was a struggle for me when I became a single mother. And then I had to flow more in my masculine energy in order to survive and make it. And so, I was out of balance even in that capacity, for a while, until I caught myself, and it was like, why are you continuing on with something that you didn't like when you were a child? What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I would just say, Denika, you characterized kind of your past experience that's helpful. And I'm working on a series of articles, and the name of that series of articles is going to be essentially the Black expense. And the Black expense, from my perspective, comes in a few forms. And I want to talk just about a couple of them, because I don't want to preempt this. I'm doing something else in a broader sense on LinkedIn here shortly. But the Black expense, and I'm thinking a little bit about something you said in reference to, I grew up in an environment, this is kind of how it occurred. These were some of the dynamics. And people, I would say to you, with the racial inequalities and the issues that we are confronted with, not that we have the privilege to view it and be a part of it or not. If you're not engaged, you are probably not living life, and you're not reflecting on a one-on-one basis, then you can't get where you need to go. So some of the content that Denika and I are talking about right now is your foundation for helping what's happening in our society right now. But it starts from the inside out of you personally. And then you mapping it to, what am I responsible for from a professional standpoint? And if I go back to the personal piece, you have a choice. If you make a decision and be decisive, then you push and propel yourself forward to be a beginning and a potential solution or alternative to some of the things that's going on. The other aspect, if you choose to ignore it on a personal level, 9 times out of 10, you're going to ignore it on the professional level. And the same behaviors will continue to be propagated within the areas of the workplace. Now, let me go back to your core for a moment. Denika talked about coaching people from their soul. If you can look at the person in the mirror, Michael Jackson say, the man in the mirror, when I look him in the face, he's looking back at me. I say, when you look in the mirror, and if you haven't done some soul searching and some assessment of where you're at, what you think, what's your opinion, and better yet, how you formulate that opinion into some actions that could be helpful to others, is your responsibility. Now, either you embrace that or you turn your head and look the other way. No decision is a decision. You just might not like the outcome when it occurs. So be in charge by being decisive. Make a distinct decision to engage in exploring you and understanding you to the nth degree so that you can be helpful to others.
Yes, I love it. One of the things that I like to, you know, challenge our listeners with is provoking for the purpose of penetrating to the truth, because our truth is a collection of what we have been told. Most people's belief, if they would be honest, they believe what they believe because it's what they were taught, it's what they were conditioned to, it's what they saw. But most people will not challenge their beliefs. Most people will not come face to face with their beliefs to decide for themselves whether what they are believing is the truth or is a lie. And see, the dangerous thing about a belief is this: it can be a dangerous thing and it can be a hell of a good thing. Whatever you believe, that is what you are going to live by. Your belief is your truth. Whatever is true for you, you act according to that. And what we see in the world right now, in so many different places, is a lot of people living according to a lie. I mean, look at what's happening with COVID, right? People are working from home. Most of these people have been wanting to work from home for a long time, and their employers have been telling them, no, you cannot work from home. It's not possible to do this job from home. But when a major situation happens, you learn to pivot or you become paralyzed. And learning how to come face to face with, what am I living? Am I living a lie or am I living the truth, is so important. This amazing, powerful spiritual journey that I'm on started with a prayer that went something like this: God, Spirit, I want the truth. I want to know who I am. I want to know why I'm here. What is my purpose? It can't be about getting up, struggling, feeling like I want to kill myself, living in a depressed state all the time. I want the truth of who I am. And if that looks like me having to unlearn everything I think I know, I am prepared to do that. Well, listen, let me tell you right now, if you feel like you want to pray a prayer like that, know what you're getting yourself into, because that prayer opened up a whole new level of understanding and truth for me. But I am so grateful that I did that. What we're looking at in the world right now, Eugene, it's people being provoked to come face to face with what is truth and what is lies. And unfortunately, in the world, we have been living according to so many lies that are now coming to a head. It's like a boil, right? That's infected and it's full of pus. And then it has to come to a head in order for it to explode, for healing to start taking place. And we're in an explosion for healing to take place. So my question to you is, are you going to allow healing to take place? Or are you going to continue to walk in sickness?
Denika, that's so hard to follow, but I do have one general thought that I would give in that vein. You have a choice to make, a decision to make, and some thoughts to generate, because you can play this thing we call life on the sideline, or you can get in the game and block and tackle those things that erode and keep you from being your authentic self. I also want to just say that I didn't pray the same prayer that Denika prayed, but I prayed one that would say something very simple. God, the world, I'm 64 years of age. The world really has pushed me and shelved me forever at my expense. And with that, I have sustained. Never thought I would be 18, never thought I would be 21 or older based on the environments I was in. But what I want you to understand, if you have resilience, you have focus, and you request to be your authentic self, align that to the universe. Doesn't matter what your belief system is. Ask the world and the universe, and if it's an object that you wish, that you wish it, then ask them to give you what is the equation for you personally. And when I posed that question to God and to the universe, which I believe in, it was immediately said that no man on this earth no business you're associated with that you're working with can elevate you to the level that I can.
Mm.
So believe in you, believe in whatever else you believe in that's much bigger than you. Those coupled together put you in a place where your decisions are made for you, because he's gone before you and laid a path, or she's gone before you and laid a path.
Or they've gone before you and laid a path,
Yes.
because, and we've been conditioned to pray outside of ourselves, right? But we're really having a conversation with ourselves, because the potential for the power to create and to be and to accomplish and to have and to do is all within us. Even Christ said that. You are gods, right? I think it's in John, the book of John.
Mm-hmm.
You are gods, and we have to learn how to embrace the divine feminine and the divine masculine aspect of who we are in a way that is powerful and productive, because nothing happens to you outside of you. I'm not knocking that we all have experiences. However, like you said, Eugene, we get to choose what we allow those experiences to be or not to be for us. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Christ said the kingdom of heaven is within you. And unless you become as a little child, pure, loving, trusting, faith-filled, believing, you will not inherit the kingdom of God that is within you, because you allow yourself to be disconnected and disjointed from the power that is within you. And all of us come into this world loving. All of us come into this world good and pure. I tell them all the time, look here, if y'all want to adopt David's born in sin and shapen in iniquity affirmation, that's y'all's business. That was David's problem. He was having a bad day. He was getting down on himself because of all the things he was going through. And so David went into woe is me attitude. Oh, I am born in sin and shapen in iniquity. I'm going to tell you, the spirit that I love and that I choose to align myself with says I am perfectly and wonderfully made in my divine feminine and my divine feminine, and my divine masculine self. But again, whatever you believe to be true is how you're going to show up in your life, whether personally or professionally, every single day. And at the end of the day, you might think that you're harming other people, but you can never lie to me without first lying to yourself. You can never hate me without hate operating in you. Beginning of the day, end of the day, it all starts with you.
I want to share one last thought for a much broader audience. And I want to break it down, and we're speaking directly to the problem, addressing some of the social injustices, the Black experience and the Black expense as I talk about that. But for those individuals who are not African American, not Black, from other walks of life or other regions of the world, whether you're Caucasian, etc., across all of those titles that society chooses to give us. Why it's important, I don't know. But I would just say this, that wherever you are, and let's talk to those people who were raised a certain way. You saw racism, you heard it, you experienced it in your family. It's been passed down from tradition to year to year, to generation. You can't control that. That's in the past. It happened. You cannot live the debt of your forefathers, but you do have the opportunity to live in this life, in this environment, to make a difference. And the notion of righting the wrong that has been done, the wrong has been inflicted. You have a choice on whether you continue to inflict it or to decide to behave and operate differently. The other key thing I would just say is embrace the fact that we're all human. And if I bring you down to the most critical element possible, humanism, treat others the way you would like to be treated. All the other things that you have to sift through to decide how you want to operate, behave, or act is pretty simple. If you don't want to be beat down, disenfranchised, or treated indifferently just because someone is of a certain nationality, then you don't engage in it. Encourage others that you're responsible for to not engage in it. The opportunity and the buck stops with you. And for those companies that you're working for, I want to go back to something I said earlier. In the scheme of life, when the revenue is down, you're out. They'll replace you with someone else at a lower salary, etc. So embrace something that's going to have far more purpose in life than a job and meeting the basic needs. Strive to thrive, not survive. And don't compromise who you are as you make those decisions.
Beautiful. And as Eugene tied up the humanism, I'm going to package up the spiritualism. So Eugene told you what the humanism aspect is. The spiritualism aspect says that I am you and you are me. And that whatever affects the one affects the whole. As within, so without. So as a spiritual being having a human experience, you have to tap into your divine feminine and your divine masculine so that you can truly show up in this world as the true and the authentic aspect of who you were created to be. This has been a great conversation. You have been tuned into The Provocative Purpose with Eugene Frazier and Denika Carothers. Eugene Frazier is with EF Choice and Associates, and also my coach Eugene, and Denika Carothers. I am Live with Purpose Coaching. You can find Denika Carothers at denikacarothers.com. And Eugene, where can they find you?
Denika, they can find me on LinkedIn, and I'm associated with a number of key entities. That's one way to get me, or they can also tap into my website at efchoice.com. And I will reach out to anyone who would like to have further discussion in this space.
Awesome. Well, you can find both of us on social media. Like I tell people, I'm Googleable. You can Google Denika Carothers and find me everywhere. But we want to invite you into this space with us on The Provocative Purpose. This is just the beginning. We are about to have some provoking conversations with everybody, and it is for the purpose of encouraging you and supporting you to go within, because transformation takes place from the inside out. So thank you so much for tuning in. We'd love to hear your comments. Leave us your feedback in the comments section. Subscribe to us on YouTube so that you can follow whenever we upload something new. But again, we'd love to hear from you. And if you don't feel comfortable putting your comments in the comment section, then feel free to DM either myself or Eugene. We'd love to continue this conversation.
Thank you so much, Denika, for inviting me to participate in this journey.
Well, it's the divine masculine and the divine feminine on the provocative purpose journey together, Eugene. Thank you for being a part of it.